In a prison of gods and gears, a boy built his own apocalypse from wax, feathers, and rage. The Wings That Burn. Chapter 1. The Cage That Builds. They say he flew too high, that the sun punished him, but no one ever asks why he left the ground. The labyrinth pulsed beneath their feet. It wasn't a prison of walls. It was a machine. Vast, breathing, alive in the wrong way. Bronze gears ticked softly in the walls, steam hissed through hidden veins, and far below something groaned in the dark. Daedalus walked the maze like a priest in a temple of his own making. He ran his fingers along the stone, whispered to copper levers, tuned pressure plates like strings on a lyre. His son followed 2 paces behind, silent. "There," Daedalus said. He stopped at a panel with a bronze iris inlaid at its center. Icarus said nothing. "Compression locks keep resetting," Daedalus muttered. "You didn't realign the spindle. Again." Icarus met his gaze, eyes flat. "Or maybe your design's flawed." Daedalus turned, jaw tight. "This entire labyrinth exists because of me," he said. "Watch your tone." The air between them hissed. Not steam, just resentment. They worked in silence after that, father and son, artisan and shadow. Daedalus built like a god, precise, mechanical, detached. Icarus watched him work with something sharp in his throat. Not envy, not admiration, contempt. That night, Daedalus returned to their chamber of copper and stone. He laid out blueprints on the table, feathers, bindings, resin. "It's ready," he said. "The wings." Icarus raised an eyebrow. "You finally decided to escape?" "We both know we can't stay," Daedalus replied. "Minos grows suspicious. He'll seal us in before long." He gestured to the wings, long arcs of wooden frame, waxen sinew, and feathers blackened with oil. They didn't shimmer. They didn't shine. They looked like something stolen from a dead god. "They're delicate," Daedalus warned. "Keep low. The wax melts in the sun. I've heard it 1,000 times," Icarus interrupted. "You think I'm stupid. I think you're reckless," Daedalus snapped. "And you don't understand consequence." Icarus stood. "No, I understand you made the maze. You gave the Minotaur its home. You designed every lock, his every trap." He stepped closer, voice low. "You built the world I'm trying to escape from." Daedalus didn't answer. He couldn't. He just turned back to the wings. That night, Icarus couldn't sleep. He sat by the window slit in the stone. Above, the stars burned like distant gods. The sky looked infinite, the way water looks to a drowning man. He whispered to the half-finished wings. "You were never meant to carry me gently, were you?" He touched the feathers. They pulsed faintly under his fingers. He added something his father didn't notice. Iron slivers woven into the frame, hidden beneath the wax. Extra weight, extra speed, more control. He wasn't building wings to flee. He was building wings to fly. In the morning, Daedalus tested the wind currents above the cliff. "We fly north," he said. "Steady, low, minimal heat exposure." Icarus stared at the rising sun. It looked like a door no one had dared open. "Low?" he said. "No." Daedalus flinched. "What?" "I'm not crawling through the sky like some insect. You made me crawl my whole life." He spread the wings, fastened them at the shoulders. Wax dripped onto the stone like blood. "I'll fly where the gods can see me," Icarus said. Daedalus reached out, not to stop him, but almost. "Icarus," he began. "Watch," the boy said. "Or don't. But I'm going." And then he ran. Not a careful lift, not a gentle glide. He launched, and the sky caught him. Chapter 2. Flight. The wings did not creak. They didn't groan under his weight. They didn't flutter like feathers in wind. They hummed. As Icarus soared from the edge of the cliff, the labyrinth below shrank like a rotted tooth. Stone walls, once endless, once holy, became lines on a page. The ocean roared beneath him, endless and clawing. But above was sky, and it was his. Daedalus shouted from the ledge, "Angle west! Let the updraft catch!" But Icarus was already gone. He rose fast, too fast. Wind lashed against his face like teeth. Salt sprayed from the waves below. His arms ached from the strain of balance. But still, he grinned. He'd never smiled like this in the maze. He'd never smiled like this in life, because he wasn't flying away. He was flying towards something. The sky smelled like lightning and salt. The sun sat higher now, watching. Not warm, not cruel, just waiting. Behind him, Daedalus steadied his flight, measured, exact, cautious. He rode the currents like a craftsman. He stayed low. He kept his eyes locked on Icarus, watching his son become a shape he couldn't design. "Drop your height," Daedalus called. "The wax will soften." But Icarus was laughing. "I can see Crete behind us," he said. "It looks like a grave from up here." A gull screamed past him. Clouds opened like gates. The wind grew thinner, sharper. Icarus tilted one wing, veering upward. The wax strained, feathers flexed, the frame held. He climbed. He thought of the nights in the maze, of Daedalus drawing diagrams instead of looking at him, of the dead air, of the gears grinding in the walls like teeth. He thought of all the gods who watched mortals crawl and prayed they wouldn't stand. And now he stood, above them. He whispered to the wind, "See me now." The sun burned at the edge of his vision. A coin of fire, a crown too bright. He felt the heat, not gentle, not warm, consuming. Below, Daedalus watched the shape rise, smaller and smaller, until it blurred. His wings pulled hard to the left as the wind shifted. "Icarus!" he shouted. "You're too high." He could see the wax drip in beads from the boy's frame. Slick. Slow. Up above, Icarus didn't hear him. The roar in his ears was too loud. Not wind, joy. He arched into a spin. The wings strained. The bones cracked a little. He could feel the sky stretch open. "This is what it's for," he whispered. "Not escape, not safety. This." But the wind shifted, just slightly. One wing caught a different current. His balance tipped. He adjusted. But the wax, it was thinner now. The frame beneath began to tremble. A feather peeled loose. He reached to slap it back into place. Just instinct. And his left arm dipped. Only a second, but enough. The wind took him wrong. He spun. Below, Daedalus saw it. The angle, the drop, the flinch. "No," he whispered, then louder. "No!" Icarus caught the air again, for a breath, for one heartbeat of glory. He levelled. But then, another feather, then another. The wax between them gleamed, melted, screamed. And still, he tried. "Come on," he hissed. "Hold, just a little more." But wings don't answer prayers, not even handmade ones. They snapped, first one, then the other. The sound wasn't thunder. It was silence breaking. Icarus plummeted. The sky didn't hold him anymore. The sun didn't look away. The sea waited. Daedalus dove after him. Too slow, too heavy. His wings creaked under pressure. He could only watch as the shape he raised the boy he built became a streak of fire and falling feathers. And vanished. The ocean closed like a door. The world stilled. The wind hushed, and Daedalus hovered above the place where his son had been. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just stared at the sea that took him, at the sun that watched, and at the wings on his own back still whole, still beating, still burdened. Chapter 3. The Weight. The ocean was quiet. Not still. Waves still broke, winds still pulled, but quiet in the way grief is quiet. Daedalus hovered above the sea. The water churned where Icarus had fallen. Feathers floated like prayers that would never land. The wings on his back flapped heavy, slow. His breath came in short bursts, as if even the air mourned. "I told you," Daedalus whispered. "Stay low. Obey the wind." He looked down again. Nothing rose from the water. No buoy, no shape, only ripples and fading light. He circled twice, 3 times. He called the name, again and again. Icarus. Louder. Icarus. But the sky didn't echo, and the sea didn't answer. He found the feather, just one, drifting near a jagged outcrop of stone, charred at the edges. The wax melted to a curl. He caught it and clutched it in both hands, like it could explain anything. By the time he reached land, the wings were falling apart. The frame cracked from stress, feathers slick with salt. He landed on a strip of sand where no temples stood, no priests, no kings, only dust and silence. He fell to his knees. Wings collapsed behind him like broken scaffolds. He didn't take them off, not yet. The sun was still high, unbothered, a god without guilt. Daedalus stared into the waves. His hands trembled. "He was my son," he said aloud. "My creation." He said it again, then again, as if repetition could rewind time, or guilt could bring gravity to heal. He lit a fire that night. The flame hissed against the damp wind. He laid the ruined wing at its edge, but he couldn't make himself burn it, so he sat with it. Its feathered frame warped, glinting red, and remembered the first time Icarus smiled, the first time he held a hammer, the first time he said, "What if we made it fly?" Daedalus stared into the fire until morning. He did not sleep. The next day he walked. No map, no direction. Only the memory of wings and a weight he could not drop. Villagers along the coast recognized him. The craftsman, the genius, the one who built the labyrinth. They bowed. They asked for blessings. They asked for stories. He said nothing. He only walked. Eventually, he found a temple to Apollo, white columns kissed by salt wind. He entered. A priest approached, bowing low. "Daedalus," he said, "your name reaches even here." Daedalus stared at the god's statue. The sun crowned Apollo's head in gold leaf. The light caught on perfect, unblinking eyes. "The sun watched him fall," Daedalus said. The priest hesitated. "You speak of the boy," he said softly. "The one with the wings." Daedalus nodded. "They tell it already, you know," the priest continued. "They say he flew too close. That hubris was his sin." Daedalus turned, slow and deliberate. "His sin was trusting me," he said. He left the temple before the priest could respond. Left the coast. Left the stories they were already telling. But he didn't leave the wings. Not entirely. He built again. Small things. Quiet things. A compass that always pointed west, where the feathers fell. A scale that never balanced, no matter what he placed on either side. A weather vane shaped like a boy in flight, tilted, off-axis, forever climbing. He never flew again. Not because he feared the sky, because it had seen him. And one day, when he was old, he returned to the shore where he landed. He stood at the edge, watched the waves, and finally, removed the wing frame he'd never truly abandoned. He laid it down. This time, he burned it. And as the wax hissed and the feathers curled into blackened ash, Daedalus whispered to the wind, "You didn't fall. You flew." The Wings That Burn. Chapter 4. The Echo Narration. Ready. Approximately 5,000 characters. Dialogue tagged for voice acting. They built statues of him. Not Daedalus, Icarus, marble boys with arms wide, feathers perfect, eyes lifted toward an unreachable sun. They carved his story into stone. He flew too high. He disobeyed. He fell. A warning to sons, a comfort to fathers, a lesson shaped like a noose. Daedalus read it all, on temple walls, on scrolls written by poets who'd never flown, in songs sung by men with clean hands and shallow breath. They turned him into a caution sign, he said. His voice was older now, rough, dry as scorched clay. No one remembered the wings he built, only the failure. No one remembered the boy, only the fall. The world loved stories with clean endings. But Daedalus had learned, no ending is clean, only burned, only buried. He visited a shrine once, built on a cliff that claimed to be the place Icarus fell. A priestess greeted him, smiling. "You've come to pay respect," she said, "to mourn the boy who flew too high." Daedalus stared at the statue. It gleamed, it smiled, it lied. "He didn't fly too high," he said. "He flew just far enough to be free." The priestess tilted her head. "But he died." "We all do," Daedalus replied, "but not all of us live first." She said nothing after that. He didn't wait. Time passed. The statues weathered, the stories changed. Some said Icarus laughed as he fell. Others said he screamed. One scroll even claimed Daedalus pushed him. The truth scattered like feathers in the wind. But still, it echoed. Children whispered the name in wonder. Artists painted him with fire behind his eyes. Poets spoke of sky and ruin in the same breath. And in quiet corners of the world, the myth breathed again. Stripped of shame, stripped of warning, told not as failure, but as freedom. They said he was reckless, but some said he was brave. They said he should have listened, but others said the sun noticed him. The gods watched him. He mattered. They never stopped telling it. The story of Icarus, the boy who flew not because he wanted to escape, but because he had to know what was above the walls. Not the wax, not the wings, but the will. Even in Daedalus's last breath, as he stood once more on the edge of that empty sea, he whispered a truth no myth had ever printed. He didn't fall. He rose until the world couldn't hold him. And somewhere, in the space between air and flame, between the beat of a wing and the snap of a frame, the echo still flies,